What I did after I went broke, Cat, was I got my house paid off. Took me a little while. Then I saved up and I paid cash for my first rental.
Not the sexiest answer, though.
And you know what happens? You know what happens with a rental that you have zero debt on? Cash flows like a bandit. It starts just stacking money.
Goldman Sachs isn't worried about debt. JP Morgan's not worried about debt. Elon Musk is not worried about debt. Apple Computer has $200 billion in cash, and they borrow money today. Well, I think Dave's good for people that want to stay in the middle class.
Yeah.
If that's your goal in life, to be in the middle of anything, I'm not peanut butter. I want to take my family to the top. So if you want to be in the middle, pay your debt off. You want to get to the top, learn to use debt.
Dave Ramsey says that debt is the fastest way to broke and that you should buy everything in cash, even your house. Whereas other people like Grant Cardone love debt. For instance, Grant Cardone is rumored to have a couple of $1 billion of debt on his $4 billion of real estate. Both of these people are worth a few $100 million. So who is right? Who should you and I listen to? That's exactly what we are going to talk about in today's video. So let's get started. So in today's video, we'll be talking about who should you follow. Should you follow the advice from Dave Ramsey, which is zero debt and buy real estate in cash? Or should you listen to Grant Cardone, who loves debt and says debt is amazing? After dissecting what these guys are saying, I'll talk about the middle ground and what I learned from these two people and what should you and I do when it comes to debt and real estate. Now, before I start this video, if this channel has helped you in any way, I would request you to subscribe to the channel if you have not done that already. And recently, I've also launched my weekly newsletter. It's 100% free to subscribe to, so the link of that in the description. In this newsletter, every Sunday, 8 a.m., I'll be hitting you with one mindset hack that changed the course of my life, and I would love to share that with you. So do subscribe to the newsletter. The link to that is in the description below. Now, for those of you who don't know who Dave Ramsey is, I started following him about I think 4 to 5 years ago. And I really loved what he was talking about. He was talking about people should not have consumer debt. If you've followed him on his Ramsey show, he talks about the 7 baby steps. He talks about buying things in cash. He talks about equity. He talks about investing in mutual funds. A lot of what he talks about actually makes a lot of sense. But let's understand who Dave Ramsey is and what he has done in the past and what qualifies him to be the financial guru that he is online. So Dave Ramsey actually started as a real estate agent in 1982. In just 4 years, he started making upwards of $200,000 a year, which was a lot back then, and he garnered real estate worth of $4 million with $3 million of debt on it. The next 4 years was his downfall, where he made some very critical moves with debt which did not pan out, and therefore he filed for bankruptcy in 1990. After that, he studied personal finance, and from his personal experience, he started something called Ramsey Solutions. He's known for his book Total Money Makeover, and as of today, he owns about $200 million of real estate, all debt-free. And he's most popular for his 7 baby steps, which says that you need to save $1,000 in emergency fund, which in my opinion is way too less. Step 2 is paying off all your consumer debts, then saving 3 to 6 months of emergency funds, which is something that we talk about on this channel as well. Step 4 is investing 15% of your income towards retirement, which I talk about on this channel. I actually do 20%, but 15% is also decent. Step 5 is saving for college for children. Then step 6 is paying off your house, and step 7 is building wealth and giving. And what he says is income is your biggest asset, and therefore more debt and more mortgage payments will actually bog you down. Now, he's not wrong. Now, if you look at these 7 steps and if you have followed him, he's not wrong in what he's saying. He actually gives really good advice to people who are broke. He gives good advice to people who are not good with money. They use a lot of credit cards. They have a lot of credit card debts which is bogging them down. They have expensive car payments. All those people should follow Dave Ramsey to the T. But where he goes a little bit extreme is he wants us to buy real estate in cash. So whether it's your home to live in or investment property, you buy everything in cash. The problem with his advice is that he assumes everyone is stupid. He assumes that everyone who has a credit card has a balance on it. He has given some blanket advice that all debt is bad, and that's not true. And honestly, his buy for cash advice is not for you and me, and it's obsolete. And the reason why I say it's obsolete is because he started investing back in 1980s when the real estate was not very expensive. Plus, he was rich. He was earning $200,000 plus in commissions as a real estate agent in 1980s and 90s. And with the real estate prices at that time and his income, he was able to buy things in cash. But right now, if you have to buy a normal home, a condo, 1-bedroom condo, it comes for about $450,000 to $500,000 if you are living in Toronto or Vancouver. And normal people like you and me cannot buy that in cash. So I personally feel that his advice, while may be good for paying off your consumer debt, or not having a really high car payment, it's not really the best advice for most people who are watching this channel. But he owns $200 million of real estate in cash. That is mind-boggling. When I first read about this, I was like, he's lying. No one can own $200 million of real estate all in cash. However, we need to understand that he's not in the business of real estate. He actually earns a lot of money. Now, in his words to Alex Hormozi on one of the interviews, Ramsey Solutions makes upwards of $300 million. As per various reports, personally, he's making $30 million a year. And this doesn't even include the cash flow that he gets from real estate. He's making most of his money from books, media sponsorships, speaking engagements. He charges upwards of $300,000 per speaking engagement. So he's making a lot of his money from his business. And the fact of the matter is, if I was making $2 to $3 million a month, I would have to invest in real estate in cash, because there is a point in the wealth cycle when you're making millions of dollars a month. If you do not invest in real estate, if you do not invest that money, if you do not put it to good use, it starts to lose hundreds and thousands of dollars to inflation. So of all the profits that he's making off his business, he's investing it into real estate in cash and then generating cash flow from those assets to fund his expenses. But Dave Ramsey is not in the business of real estate. He uses real estate as a store of value. And that makes a big difference. You must have seen on social media a lot of people actually buying real estate thinking that they'll get appreciation and then they'll get rich. That, unfortunately, is a very broke and a middle class mindset. What ultra wealthy people would do is they have a business that generates a lot of cash flow, and they then invest that into assets like real estate, and they can actually buy it in cash because they're generating a couple of $1 million a month. And if they don't invest that money, they'll make another couple of $1 million the next month. So what they're doing is using all that cash to buy real estate as much as possible, get cash flow, and that money cycle just keeps growing. And therefore, real estate is being used as a store of value that appreciates and beats the market while giving you cash flow every single month. Whether you're buying real estate with 20% down, 25% down, or 100% down payment, it's nothing but a store of value. Some people like Dave Ramsey, because they are making so much money, are able to buy it in cash. But for some people like you and me who are not making so much money, we have to use debt as an instrument. Now that we understand this, let's talk about the next person, which is Grant Cardone. He's known for his very expansive lifestyle, his private jets, his expensive cars, his Florida mansions, and billions of dollars of real estate that he owns. And he loves debt.
Who's got $30,000 of debt? Good, that ain't a problem. I need to pay my debt off. No, you need more debt. You don't need Dave Ramsey ain't gonna help you. Dave Ramsey ain't here this weekend. Look, I wanna get you guys in debt. The only reason you don't want debt is because you don't want to work. I gotta pay off the house. I gotta pay off the cars. I gotta pay this off. Because you're trying to get off the carousel. You're like, I gotta get out of the game. Dude, you ain't gotta get out of the game, you gotta be the game. I got people come up to me and say, man, I love the 10X rule, man. I got rid of all my debt after I read it. I said, bro, you confusing books now. Fucking, you confused, dog. Shit. Before I wrote the 10X rule, I think the last time we were at Mandalay Bay, I had like 50 million in debt. I think I got like 900 million now. 2 years. In 2 years, you guys don't need to take a long time. Last time I was here, I'm bragging. This is straight up brag. Y'all mind? The last time I was here, I think I had $400 or $500 million worth of real estate. I don't know where Secco is. He'd know. Today we have $1.7 billion worth of real estate. Okay? That's fucking strong shit. Huh? Come on! That's ridiculous.
The clip was from 2020. Right now, Grant Cardone owns $4 billion worth of real estate, and it's rumored that half of it is debt. So $2 billion is debt and $2 billion is equity, which I feel is a very healthy ratio. But still, it's $2 billion in debt, and that's a lot. However, there's one thing that most people do not understand about Grant Cardone, which is how he makes money. A lot of people feel that he's making cash flow and he's making all his wealth through cash flow, but that's not true. What he's making money on is when he purchases the real estate, he keeps 20 to 35% of the equity for himself to do all the work. That's called management promote. And then he goes out and sells the 65% of the remaining equity for 100% of the money. And then he charges 2 to 3% of purchase price in acquisition and management fees. This is something which is very common with real estate investors who are using other people's money. And finally, he has books, online courses, sales training, speaking engagements. All this is generating millions of dollars of revenue every single month. Now, there there's a distinction here as well. Grant Cardone is in the business of real estate. He's actively scouting for deals. His team is actively working to manage those properties, and it's actual work that he's doing. It's not passive investing. Investors who are investing with Grant Cardone, it's passive income for them. But for Grant Cardone, it's very much active income. Just imagine if he buys $100 million worth of real estate, he would own 20 to 35% of equity and the cash flow, which is close to $20 million every single year. On top of that, he's making $2 to $3 million in fees. And a lot of this is not passive. So despite having $2 billion in debt, he owns enough assets and generates enough cash flow from this real estate business to allow him to buy more real estate. The problem is that we get motivated looking at Grant Cardone to buy real estate and retire. We see a lot of influencers online who are buying properties for cash flow, and they claim to retire themselves with the passive income that they're generating from this real estate. But let's face it, if you buy 1 or 2 investment properties, even if you generate $500 to $1,000 of cash flow, with the $1,000 to $2,000 of monthly cash flow, you cannot retire. And to buy more properties, you need more cash. You just cannot replace your 9-to-5 job with passive income from investing in real estate. At best, with the cash flow that you generate from 1 or 2 properties, in the short to medium term, you are able to cover your expenses like car payments. And long term, let's say in 20 to 30 years, you are able to pay down all those mortgages, or the tenants pay down all those mortgages, and you replace your income and retire. The numbers just don't stack up. I, for instance, will have to buy 10 to 15 real estate properties which are cash flowing in the next 5 years in order to retire by 40 by using just investing into real estate as a passive income source. But we all get fascinated about the rich lifestyles that these social influencers are living based on real estate and passive investing. I don't know about you, but that used to fascinate me a lot. But there's one subtle difference that made me a mortgage agent. There's a difference between investing in real estate versus being in the business of real estate. Grant Cardone is in the business of real estate because he actively does real estate. He acquires properties, he raises capital, he's researching, he has thousands of employees, he's managing those employees, but all that they are doing is investing in cash flowing real estate and doing it for investors who want passive income. Similarly, people who fix and flip, who do Airbnb, real estate agents, mortgage agents, real estate wholesalers, contractors, joint ventures, raising capital just like Grant Cardone, all these are examples of being in the business of real estate and generating money from there. All these are active income sources. They are not passive income, they are active income sources. I can be a real estate agent, I can be a wholesaler, I can do Airbnb, I can joint venture and raise capital without owning a single piece of real estate in my name. So yes, people are making a lot of money in real estate, but they're doing that by being in the business of real estate and not merely investing in it. Now the question is, what should you do? And the answer to that lies in where you want to retire and when you want to retire. If you want to retire in 30 years and if you want to retire in India versus Canada, your real estate goals will look very different. If you want to leave generational wealth, or you want to live a rich life buying fancy cars, going on vacations and living in a $5 million house when you are in your 40s, your real estate goals have to be very different. So let's talk about 3 scenarios depending on where you are in your life today and what your goals are. And this is something that I talked about in my previous video as well, that you want to retire in India in 30 years. Your horizon is 30 years. You are in your 9-to-5 job. You love your 9-to-5 job. You don't want to leave that. You don't want to take any risks. You want to make enough money, enjoy that money, and still want to retire in 30 years. For that, you just need to keep things very, very simple. Like I said in my previous video, you have to have liquid assets, which is investing $1,000 a month. Let's say you are a couple, you are investing $500 a month in your TFSA account per person. So your wife and you invest $500 per month. That's $6,000 to $7,000 per year into TFSA, and you invest that, let's say, at 6% return, and in 30 years you'll have $1 million tax free. The second thing that you do is pay down your primary house. You buy a primary house, you pay it down. Let's say that house costed you $700,000 in 30 years because of inflation and appreciation. Let's take a 3 to 4% appreciation. The real estate will be worth $2.3 million, and because you have paid it down, and the $2 million from your primary home, again it's tax free because you are not taxed on your primary home when you sell it. You can take these $3 to $3.5 million back to India. That's worth about 20 crore rupees. Assuming that the exchange rate remains the same, that's worth 20 crore rupees, and that would be enough for you to retire in India. Because this corpus of 20 crore rupees, as long as it's growing at more than 4%, which will not be that difficult in India, You can draw 4% from this 20 crore every single year without depleting this corpus because it's growing by more than 4%. So that gives you an income of about 6 to 7 lakh per month pre-tax. And if that's the retirement that you want, you can always prepay your mortgage quickly to retire early. Now let's talk about the second scenario, which is something that I did not discuss in my previous video, but I've discussed it in the past, which is retiring in Canada in 30 years. Now, if you want to retire in Canada in 30 years, I've done the numbers for myself. If I do not have a mortgage payment, I need about $4,000 to $5,000 to live today. If I extrapolate that to 30 years in the future, counting for inflation, that will be close to $11,000 to $12,000 per month after tax. That translates into annual passive income before tax of $210,000 per year. And that after tax would give me about $12,000 per month, which will be enough for me to afford the same level of luxury that I have today. Remember, I'm assuming that I do not have any debt, I don't have any car payments, I don't have any mortgage. So now that I have a goal and a number in mind, what I have to do is I have to back calculate that. I have to invest $500 per week in ETFs in stock market, which translates actually into $2,000 per month. And that would give me a corpus of 2.5% in 30 years. And if I use the same rule of 4%, I can actually draw $100,000 every single year from this corpus without it depleting. Because the assumption here is that this $2.5 million will keep growing over 4% every single year. And if I draw 4% from it, I don't have to touch the principal. So 4% of $2.5 million is $100,000 that I can use every single year. And this is pre-tax money. The second thing that I'll do is paying down my primary house to zero in 20 to 25 years. And that would ensure that I'm debt free and I still have shelter when I'm retiring in Canada. And the third thing that I can do is I can buy rental properties, at least 2 to 3, so that they are fully paid up in the next 30 years. And it gives me $3,000 to $4,000 per property in free cash flow when I retire. Let's say that net cash flow is about $10,000 per month, and that gives me the other $120,000 per year, which makes a total of $220,000 per year of pre-tax money. I truly believe that if you want to retire in Canada, this is the least that we all have to do. Now, in my case, I feel that scenario 2 is almost done. The amount of income that I'm making and the amount of real estate that I already own, I think I'm set for the next 30 years if I want to retire in Canada. But like I said, I would really like to retire a little bit early. And that's where increasing your income makes a lot of sense. When I realized this about myself and I realized how real estate and investing works, I realized that the only way to accelerate retirement is to increase your income. So my goal for the next 2 years is to generate $100,000 of personal income every single month. And I'm not doing this passively. I'm actively working towards this income. I'm actively starting businesses. I'm being a mortgage agent. So I'm actively working in real estate in order to make this amount of money. And then with all the money that I earn, I want to buy 1 or 2 pieces of real estate every single year for at least 5 to 10 years as a store of value. Now, earning $100,000 per month might not allow me to buy 2 pieces of real estate in cash as Dave Ramsey would like me to do. However, because I'm using real estate as a store of value and not making money off real estate, what I want to do is put 35% down payment in every real estate that I own. So either this 35% is active investing where I actually renovate the unit and create that 35% of equity, or I actually put straight up 35% down payment in order to have that equity position. And then the cash flow that is generated from this real estate pays for my expenses and luxuries. And I keep doing this till the time all the cash flow that is generated from real estate covers for all my luxuries and all my expenses. But the problem is that it's very difficult to generate $100,000 per month or $1 million business by just working in a job. And therefore you need to develop skills, take risks, develop a network, and then there is obviously a little bit of luck that plays a role as well. But again, if you have developed the skills, you have taken the risk, and you have developed a network around you, and because you're continuously working to develop your skills and the network, I really believe that there's a very high chance that luck will shine on us because we are opening more rooms and being in different places and showing up every single day. So should you listen to Dave Ramsey or Grant Cardone? The answer is none, because their situations are different from yours and your situation is different from mine. Like I explained in these 3 scenarios, identify who you are, identify whether you want to start a business, identify where you want to retire, identify when you want to retire, and you need to make a real estate plan in accordance to that. In my next newsletter, I'll be talking about these 4 things. So do subscribe to the newsletter if you have not done that. The link to do that is in the description below. It's completely free and hits your mailbox every Sunday 8 AM. That's all I have for today. मिलते हैं अगली वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए बाय बाय।